All right, you guys ready for the excitement? Because I am. We have another pocket change market report, this time for the week ending August 23rd, 2023. 2323, that's right, we are back at it again. This is your midweek edition of this report where we take a look at some of the most relevant errors and varieties to have sold on eBay within the last day or two. All right, so here's where we're at on this. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And I think people are starting to get back into the hobby as we head into the fall months. We generally see this little shift, depending on how busy it is over the summer in numismatics, and it was certainly busy this year. Not saying that any other year was different, but usually it's slow during the summer. If it's busy during the summer, we will see a little bit of a shift going into fall, where it's like everything's amplified. There's more people heading to the banks. They're getting bankrolls. They're getting paper money. The coin shops and shows are a little bit even more busier. And guess what? As of this show, the price of silver had gone up another $2. Where the heck is the silver market heading to? Because that has some influence on how the market is. So, I don't know. If I were you guys, I would certainly bandwagon it. But of course, I'm going to say that this is not financial advice. I'm just saying for fun and the hobby's sake, might as well do it. Because there's a lot to find out there. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm excited to talk about the coins that have sold here in the last day. We don't talk about graded coins, all right? That narrative never changes. That's a needed expense on a lot of these pieces. You just photograph them, throw them up on eBay, make sure you're using the right terminology when you're selling these. Make sure they're attributed correctly. If you're brand spanking new at this, you might want to bone up, on ErrorRef website or some of those variety websites like Variety Vista, DoubleToDie.com, to make sure you know what you're looking at. And the second part to the video, as always, we're using the original photos of that particular seller's listings. So we don't juice or doctor any of the photos to make them look better. All right, so you're going to get the best and worst photos. You'll know where that bar is being set in advance, so that way you guys can plan accordingly. You guys can do your photos the way that you want them to. I'm not going to do a formal whatnot little slide on here. I will just tell you that we have a benefits auction to help out a good friend of ours who lost his business during the Maui fires. So that's going to be this Friday. Come join us. It's on the 25th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. The net proceeds, all go to him. And any tips that come in, 100% goes to him. All right. So, hopefully you guys join us as we rally around our friend Nate and hopefully help get him back on his feet in some way with this benefit auction. So I figure the time is right to just go ahead and jump into the list. We have 27 listings to talk about today. All exciting stuff. And, check this out. Not the best looking photo, obviously. You want to take a full picture of the note or the coin or whatever you may have because it's going to be impactful on how much money you sell these things for. But I think the seller did okay enough so that way we know what we're looking at. Okay, so this is a 2017 A Series $1 bill with what we call an inkwell contamination error. Now, if you look at the two different sets of serial numbers on this note, okay, what's going to be the first thing that pops to mind? The bottom left serial number looks to be black ink, right? They're supposed to be both green. Now, it's not completely, totally 100% black, okay? It's some of the black ink from the neighboring ink wells, all right? Because there's a series of ink wells right there built into the plate that it's really easy for the black ink to seep into the well that holds the green ink. And then when you mix those two together, you just get a really dark looking green, like a pine green or just a black green. So this only affects the bottom left-hand side serial numbers. We haven't seen an inkwell contamination on the right side of the note. All right, so that's worth mentioning. And more than likely, you're not going to find that because all of the inkwells to the right side of the plate, it's all going to carry just green ink. All right, so this is a rather new anomaly that we've seen this year, just kind of come out of the gate. And I'm happy to say that this particular error is being embraced in the paper money world, and so much so that companies like Paper Money Guarantee, PCGS Banknote, they're beginning to recognize inkwell contamination errors right on the notes. So this particular example, and as you can see, there's a little bit more closer look at the bottom left serial number string. This one sold for $89.99, and these notes used to sell for like $200-300. I think condition kind of plays more of a factor than we lead it to believe in determining the value of an inkwell contamination error. But nonetheless, you guys should be keeping an eye out for these because they will pop up when you least expect them. Here's one of my favorite varieties, and 1972 Philly Lincoln Cents are chock full of them. Here's the FS108 doubled die obverse. This is another strong one here, albeit one of the more common varieties for this particular date. But if you're lucky enough to find one that is in really nice condition like this one here, the thing looks like it's been minted yesterday, which is meaningful to a lot of collectors of this, then you're going to have a heavy hitter on your hands. Now here's a few areas of note for the doubling. You're going to see quite a bit of doubling on the date, on the word Liberty, and the motto is going to be particularly strong on this one. This coin right here is sold for $138.88. The market just continues to fly on these. I remember when BU examples of this just 2 years ago were selling for like $69, $79, and now they're about double that. Pretty crazy. All right, so a quick little extra V update. We have one right here, 2023. We do notice a few water spots on the obverse there, all coming from the mint, of course. So it's a pretty nice example, albeit it's not the finest one that I've seen. All right, and we're beginning to see less and less gem BU examples that are raw out in the marketplace today. I think a lot of people did end up scooping up some of those earlier pieces a few months ago. And those are the coins that have been thrusted into PCGS, NGC, and Annex slabs. And today, those particular coins are selling for anywhere between $350 to $700. And we've even seen a few examples hit above the $1,000 mark. So this one singular coin right here sold for $72.25. There was a minimum bid, I believe, of $69 or $67, somewhere around there. So someone did put a bid in for that amount. This one is one of the better ones I've seen lately. A little bit of a close-up, kind of hard to see, but that little V anomaly is right there. All right, so that's the thing that everybody's been clamoring over. Yeah. So the Minnesota State Quarter extra trees all of a sudden getting a little resurgence here. I've seen a few of them sell here recently. And with the new Cherry Pickers guide currently out on half dimes to quarters, they delisted a few of the Minnesota extra trees. But this is one of the nicer ones right here. When we look up close, right here, you can see that extra tree just to the right of the fourth tree where the state outline is. So you can see that little extra tree right there. That's not supposed to be there. All right, so that's a very small anomaly on these coins. This is it is recognized as a doubled die reverse, especially through some websites like Variety Vista and Doubled Die. So where are they worth today? Well, this particular one sold for $22.50. I used to remember not too long ago, like very recently, you had a hard time getting rid of these things for around $5 because they were just so plentiful. But we can't help but notice the overall condition of this piece is phenomenal. And all the other ones I've seen here in the last week, has sold for between $20 and $30. Now, all of a sudden, they have a little bit of desirability, and that is quite interesting. Here's a 1922 peace dollar. Not the greatest looking example, but if you look close enough at your scrappy silver 90% stuff, you might find a gem in there. Now, we all know that common date Morgan and peace dollars tend to run around the $28 to $30 mark today. All right. So they're not the cheapest coins if you were going to cherry pick them, but you got to make sure that if you find something that you pull it out immediately, because they will certainly enhance the value. Now, this particular coin I could tell has been cleaned. You could see a lot of those lines right here on Liberty's neck and cheek area and going into the fields right here. This particular coin is just a run-of-the-mill 22p, one of the more highly minted coins. This particular one ended up selling for $52.99, all because of a little bit of a defective planchet. There was a little crack in the planchet that goes between the two twos and the date, as you can see here. Again, you don't have to grade this. You're going to end up pissing away your money if you do. Really neat. Yeah, there were a few defective planchets on. I only had to pick a few of them because a couple of them were quite wild, like this one here. It's a 1927 Lincoln Wheat Cent that shows a what looks to be a detached lamination or, something to that effect. It did occur, I believe, before the strike, because you could see a considerable amount of weakness in that same area on the obverse, as you could see there. So if a piece of the planchet had fallen off or crackled off at some point, that's actually going to make the planchet a lot thinner than what it should be. And the coin is in great shape. This is like a really nice mid-state red-brown. This one ended up selling for $30 with 2 bids. There is that argument that sometimes these kind of like minor mid-error type deals will actually do more detrimental effects to the value of a coin. And we actually have a really good example of that later on in this show. So here's our next piece of paper coming in the way of a 1985 $1 bill. All right, so from the front of the note, this thing looks normal, okay? So where you need to look out for, it's actually going to be on the reverse. You can already see a few of the stickers there on the top where it says error note, engraving error. So what's that all about? It's the plate number. Plate number 129, notorious for being on the completely opposite side of where it should be. The plate number on $1 bills should be on the bottom right-hand corner of this clear area around the 1. All right, so only plate number 129 is shown to be on the bottom left. So that is the engraving error here with this particular note. And here's a little bit better close-up of that, okay? So definitely a BEP screw-up. This particular note sold for $123.95. This is a plate error that we've known about for probably about 3 decades now. All right, so this is like nothing new right here. This is very well known in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was identified much earlier. And I remember these things used to sell for like $10 back in the 90s. Coin shops, and you saw them in shows all the time. It was just one of those things. And then now, and the note's in great shape, by the way. Now, there aren't as many of these around as they used to. All right, so you guys know the lifespan of paper money is very short. We're talking 18, 24 months on certain occasions just through regular wear and tear. So there was quite a few of them that was taken out of circulation and destroyed. So yeah, crazy how much these things sell for today. We do have a few kind of off the cuff, off center strikes. They're all kind of tougher dates in spite of the composition on these, which are Zinkins. Here's a 1983 Lincoln cent that's off center by about 55%, and this one sold for $36.78, and the coin's in pretty nice shape. It's got a lot of mint luster on this. Here's a 2004 Denver Roosevelt dime. This one is actually an uncentered broad strike. So you do have nearly a full rim here next to Liberty. And obviously there was a collar malfunction to allow the metal flow to go push beyond its normal range. So this coin is a lot bigger than what a standard Roosevelt dime shape is. And, it only did sell for $8.50 with 4 bids. I think that's more a case of it's a dime. They're not as widely collected as, say, Lincoln cents or quarters. And here's a really neat one, too. This is a very extreme example of a 1960s Lincoln Memorial cent that was struck on an already split planchet. So this thing had split right in half, right down the middle on its edge. The planchet is going to be a lot thinner than what a standard Lincoln cent is. And then when you look at the back, all right, see all these ridges and striations right here. That is kind of what you need to see along with a very, very weak struck other side. So, whoops. So there you go. I mean, these are fantastic. They're quite popular. And this one sold for $27.99 here in the last day. Next one that we have here, a really nice, this is actually a very nice problem-free Jefferson nickel. It struck off center by about 50%. I mean, sure, there's no readable date, and I know a lot of collectors prefer that because these are collected by date. But this is just an overall problem-free, pleasing, lots of luster, and you can even point out that the reverse has fully defined struck steps on Monticello. Okay, that actually means a lot to collectors. So this particular one kind of shocked me a little bit when it did sell for $55, and that's with what looks to be 28 bids. So a very active coin. You usually don't see that on off-center struck coins that have no readable date, but this one getting the extra nod here by bidders. So here's our other 1972 doubled die obverse that sold this week. This is just a really nice, pleasing, about uncirculated example here. This is the FS 102 doubled die obverse. It's one of the big ones. And when you look at this up close, the motto, Liberty, are all quite strong. And there is some doubling on the date as well. You can see that on the 2, top of the 7, and various other areas there. This particular one sold for $153.90. The FS 102 is comparatively more scarce than the FS 108 that we looked at earlier in this show. So if you're out there searching around, make sure you're matching up the correct attribution for your 1972 Lincoln cents. And again, there's a good solid 10 of them that are recognized in the Cherry Picker's Guide that throttle the value of these things into a completely different level. So look out for them. Oh, here's another tough one here. Now, we've seen a few 1982 off-center struck Lincolns before, but how about a small date type? And this looks like to be a copper as well. Wow, this is something that you don't see come up too often, and it's a very immaculate example. Full date, copper. It's got some luster in there. I would dare say that this thing is uncirculated. And this one sold for $47.55 with 31 bids. I'm sure there are a few collections that are looking specifically for this coin. And from the same seller, they also had a 1985 Denver Lincoln Memorial cent. It's, again, off-center by about 50-55%. Another tough date. We don't see traditionally some of these mid-80s Denvers with this type of mid-error, but this one sold for $37.66 with 25 bids. All right, so we had a seller that was fire sailing 5 2013B star notes. These are not the duplicate notes, so they're outside of their serial number range for the duplicate stars. So outside of that, it's just really high printed bulk stars. So this person ended up throwing 5 of them up on eBay. The other pictures were not that good, so I just elected to use these ones here. And you can fact check it too by going on mycurrencycollection.com and just, typing in the serial numbers, and you're going to see that they don't fall in range for a dupe. This particular lot right here sold for $23.99. Which is almost, I would say, 5 times, probably like 4.7x face value, and that's not bad. You know, you're getting back, you know, $4 to $5 for every one of these notes. Generally, the high run stars sell for about $2 to $3. This one actually overperformed a little bit. All right, I think this might be our first CUD die break on a 1974 D Lincoln Memorial Cent. I actually bought one of these about a month ago to give to a friend. And, you know, it's a modest size CUD die break. So just through general wear and tear, the die had fractured a little bit, and a piece of the die had fallen out. So now there's an empty cavity that's, you know, in there. So when it strikes coins, all the metal flow will go into that empty cavity, thereby creating this raised event that you see here. This one right here sold for $37.67 with 16 bids. Nice little off-center coin here. A date you don't see pop up on the market too much. It's a 1981p Washington quarter. It's off-center by about 20-25%. Good looking mid-state coin, and this one sold for $103.50 with 36 bids. Just on the final sale price of this one, that kind of, you know, lets you guys know that this is a much tougher date than some of the other ones we've seen lately. And another statehood quarter, this time of Rhode Island. Now, this particular CUD die break that you see there on the reverse at the 9 o'clock position, we've seen these quite a bit times before, all right? It's not particularly rare. Now, a lot of the ones that we've seen sell in the open market have all been primarily really well worn. This one, however, is a nice minty fresh example showing that CUD die break there on the reverse, and that's the big reason why that this particular coin sold for $27 with 13 bids. Generally, this is a sub $10 coin in circulated condition. More CUDs. This is a tough one here. I haven't seen this one in a long time. It's a 1959D, and I actually think that they even said it's a RPM as well. So not only is it a variety, it's an error. But you can see the raised, what looks to be CUD chip die break there at the base of Lincoln's bust. That is what you're going to be looking for, my friends. And yeah, even dates like this, you know, they'll get their CUDs too. And I'm happy to say that this one did sell for $46.99. Again, a very strong sales result on this coin that we traditionally don't see pop up too often. And another CUD die break, 1944. This one's quite nice, actually. Now, it does have a nick on the reverse, a pretty deep gash right in the middle there under the N in cent. But you can't argue with a very strong-looking CUD die break there that's covering we and trust for the most part. Coin's in nice shape, too, outside of that. This one sold for $70.99. CUDs are kings. All right, so you have to be careful with some of these extra V listings, okay? This is one of them right here that shows both a Philadelphia and a Denver coin. This one did dupe a lot of people. Because there was a total of 25 bids, and this auction got all the way up to $95 for both coins. Which the price doesn't bother me too much if there was two legitimate extra V 23 Philadelphias, but we have a Denver and a Philadelphia in the slot, so it's like, I don't know, the pictures aren't that great to begin with. And here's your close-up of the Denver. It's been said that some of these V markings on the base of the bust have been added by unscrupulous individuals that are trying to deceive collectors. So you want to make absolutely 100% sure that the coin that you're bidding on is going to be the one that you're getting. And, you know, to make sure that the variety you're getting as well is also going to be on there. So, yeah, $95. So I hope these two coins are right as rain. From what I do understand, there are no recognized Denver extra Vs out there. There have been talks of some that may look like it, but they've all been debunked. So be careful. This is not particularly a very expensive lesson, but, you know, it is inconvenient. Wow, what a great looking trio of 1970s Lincoln Memorial cents, right? I mean, these all look like they're struck through grease, but what we actually have here is three coins that were struck through a late very late stage cap die. All right. And it shows because you have a lot of the devices very strong on these coins by now. They look great. Nice minty, mint red. The 3 coins ended up selling for only $33. So what in the heck is wrong with these? They're usually $33 a piece. So, yeah, I mean, look at the back. They're stained, corroded, whatever you want to call it. That is moisture damage, my friends. And that is a real buzzkill. And it affected all 3 coins, unfortunately. So the $33, I think, is correct as far as market value. But, man, what a shame. You don't want to see stuff like this ever. Oh, here's our good old friend, the Wilma Mankiller. Wow, my picture is a little bit off on this one. But anyways, yeah, this has the obverse retain cud right above Washington's head. Still popular. This is not the greatest looking example. A lot of them are pretty well circulated by now. And this one sold for $325, which is one of the higher sales that I've seen of just the single-sided obverse cud in quite some time. And Edith Kanaka Ole, there's only one reason why that this coin is here, and it's going to be that strong die clash right on Washington's ear and hairline. Here's a great close-up of what this one looks like. It's pretty strong, but it is not the strongest that I've seen. I actually haven't seen one of those since the Numismatic News article that Ken Potter did. So I really want to see one of those very strong ones. This one is about medium, and it did sell for $51 with 16 bids. Very strong price on this particular one. So I can imagine that the more stronger die clash will probably end up being many multiple hundreds of dollars. What a crazy error. 1980p Washington quarter. This one is a indent with a mirrored blockage. Boom. That's a big one. And this is caused by just simply 2 coins or planchets that were staggered, kind of offset from each other. One was overlapping the other during the strike. So more than likely there was a collar malfunction as well. This particular coin ended up selling for $128.88. Again, a really phenomenal sale here on this coin. And this is one that traditionally most folks would say, yeah, we got to slab this sucker. You didn't need to here. It's sold for what the market value is. All right, couple more coins remaining. Now, you guys remembered I prefaced earlier that some really nice earlier dates in great condition might benefit much more greater by not having a mint error on it at all. Okay, so here's a case in point. 1857 Flying Eagle cent is actually in really nice shape. I would say probably a VF30 as far as technical grade, which puts it at about a $100 coin. I mean, there's no shame in that game. However, with the rim clip, that sheet clip that you see right under the date, wow, it actually affected the price negatively. And it sold for only $50.11 with 20 bids. So there you go. I mean, that's a really good example of where you don't get full market value on a really nice, pleasing coin, even though it has mint error. Again, the minor errors, they don't necessarily add value to these things. All right, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. What a fantastic video. Hopefully, a lot of you got a little inspiration from what you saw today, and it makes you want to go out and do some hunting of your own. Cherry pick the coin shops and the coin shows. There's plenty of those going around here to cap off the summer. And as always, this video is for entertainment purposes only. None of it's financial advice. Okay? Wink, wink. Collect responsibly. Try not to grade either. Grade responsibly if you have to, if you do that sort of thing. So, quick little fine print that is really bolded on this one. And that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in on this video, the PCMR for August 23rd, 2023. It sure was a huge pleasure to talk about some of the big coins that are really twirling up the marketplace today. It's going to be a really good opportunity for you guys to enhance your collection or possibly make a few bucks in the process like I'm doing. All right, that's it. I'm your host, Sean. I will catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting, and I wish you guys the best. Take care now.